Welcome to Knife Chats. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with friends, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thank you.
Hello. This is going to be a little bit of a departure from normal for me. What I'm going to be talking about is knife shaming, and not the knife shaming that knife collectors do with other knife collectors, but what knife collectors do with people who are not knife collectors when they approach us with a knife that they have, and we overlook their enthusiasm for the knife and don't even pay attention to what they have to say about the knife, and we pass judgment on the knife based on our knowledge versus their actual experience with the knife. And this is coming about because well, it's happened in my life. It's also happened to me where I've asked somebody else and they look down upon what I had, but I have found myself doing the same thing to other people, and it really does nothing to help the knife collecting hobby, and it really is a reflection on the person doing the shaming, not the person who is asking for advice or showing you their knife. I mean, and so when you do that, sometimes you don't even realize you do it, but other times you just have to show your superiority on it. And really, when you start thinking about it, in this knife collecting hobby, there's plenty of people who know more about knives than I do and more about knives than you do. There's plenty. I mean, I get my knowledge of knives from people who know more about it than I do, and then I try to pass it on. So where did I get that knowledge from? I got it from somebody who knew more than I did. And so trying to take the experiences that I have and put someone else down is ridiculous. What I should be doing is trying to build them up and share the knowledge without belittling what knowledge they already have. And this comes about because of a couple knives that I want to show you. Now, I bet everyone out there has seen one of these knives before. This one's used. It's supposed to have a sharpening stone little pouch in the front here because it is based off of the Air Force survival knife. We all know this, the jet pilot knife. And that's what this knife is based on. But it's, you know, the Rambo style with the hollow handle and the compass that spins on top. I've actually got two of these. One of them has a compass that doesn't work. And so I went and bought another one because I wanted one with a compass that spun. This one has a camouflage sheath, the other one has a black sheath. And this one has the camouflage handle and the blade's in better shape. And if you notice right there, and I bet you can see it, 420 stainless out of Taiwan. So you see that right away and you think 420 stainless. I mean, anyone who collects knives is like, oh, well, that's junk steel. Because, I mean, let's face it, the steel in this is 1095 carbon steel. This is the one the Air Force actually uses. This is just a Taiwanese knockoff of it with a cheap sheath and everything else. It's got a bottle opener on top, so it doesn't have what this one does. Also, if you notice, it's got a longer blade. It's got a 6-inch blade as opposed to a 5-inch blade. And it's got some saw teeth up here, but how good of a saw it is, I really don't know. I have not used it. However, the person who first showed me one of these knives wanted to know about it, and I hope I didn't go overboard with the things that I made, that I commented on with it, because I wasn't trying to be hurtful, but I might have been hurtful when I was talking about it, because I'm more used to this as opposed to this. In any case, I said, yeah, it's a copy of the Air Force survival knife, and you can tell right there where it was made. It was made in Taiwan. And I said it's got one of those hollow handles. I knew it had the hollow handle. She also knew it had a hollow handle. And she was talking about the compass on top. And, you know, it had a survival of this. Well, they come with this survival kit, you know, which has some matches. It's got some wire in here, some toothpicks, and some fish hooks and so on and so forth, some fishing line and all that other stuff. And, you know, these rings. I think those are for a saw or something. But in any case, I said, yeah, you know, and then she commented afterwards that this was a knife that her father carried all the time when he went hunting and camping and everything, and that he used to use this knife to skin deer. And that's what, right. He used this knife to skin deer. That was his primary knife. He used it for years, hunting and everything else, skinning deer, you know, dressing deer and everything with this knife. You know, would I be able to dress a deer with this knife? No, but he could. And that's the point. So, you know, somebody else would be looking at this going, $15 junk piece of knife. You know, this here Air Force survival knife, $60. You know, you can't beat it. Yeah, I guess you could skin a deer with this too. But the thing is her father used this knife, a knife like this, made in Taiwan, 420 stainless steel, and he used it repeatedly for dressing deer and hunting and camping for years. Now, how am I supposed to tell her or anyone else that a person used this knife for years doing all their hunting and camping chores, dressing deer and everything else, and I'm supposed to say it's a junk knife? It isn't. For him, it was a great knife. You know, was it a $200 or you know, Benchmade, or was it a $600 Randall? No, but it was the perfect knife for him. So who am I to judge and say that this knife is a piece of junk simply because it's 420 stainless steel and it was made in Taiwan and it's a knockoff of the Air Force survival knife? And that's the thing that we have to look at for when we're looking at knives, because this knife, this 420 steel knife made in Taiwan, may be the perfect knife for somebody else, and they may be looking at the person who has that $500 Randall and just shaking their head going, I don't know why in the world you'd spend $500 on a knife when you can do the same thing with this. And the person, well, I can, you know, to be honest with you, let's back up a bit. If I were to get in a fish filleting contest with my nephew, and gave him a 4-inch Rapala, and I had the, you know, the best of the Bubba blades or anything else on a filleting end, I could go out there with a $600 fillet knife and it doesn't matter. He's going to fillet more fish and he's going to do it better than I will, because he's better at using a fillet knife than I am. And so a person who can go and dress deer with this knife, you know, who am I to judge and tell him that he's got a junk knife? If he can do this and do this well with this, and if he knows how to sharpen it and keep it sharp and keep it clean and use it well year after year after year, and it services him well, how can I possibly say that this knife is a piece of junk? How can you possibly say it's a piece of junk? If someone can use it and does a good job with it, maybe the problem is you're not able to use a knife as well as he is, regardless of the knife that he ends up with. And maybe he would rather sharpen 420 more often than your S5239Z XYW Super Steel, whatever one they're up to now. So it might come down to that too. So, you know, we need to be very careful when we look at somebody else's knife, because it might be the perfect knife for them, even if it is not the right knife for us. And so always be aware that knife shaming really just reflects badly on the person who's doing the shaming, not on the knife and not on the person who has the knife. And like I said, do not covet other people's knives, regardless. It's just that simple. In any case, that's what I wanted to say. And, you know, keep a positive outlook on knives, everybody's knives, and don't sit around thinking, well, that's 420, it's junk. Because, you know what? One man's junk is another man's super steel. And some people will just love to be out there with 420 steel and say, I can sharpen this on a rock that I find in the stream. Can you do that with your super steel? You know, maybe you can, maybe you can't. But the person who knows their knife and can use it properly and use it well is going to be much better off than the person who has the super steel and has no idea what to do with the knife. Anyway, I'm done now. Just remember, no knife shaming, regardless of the knife. Any knife is a good knife if the person who has it knows what to do with it.
Thank you for visiting Knife Chats. I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that notification bell so that you will be notified when the next episode of Knife Chats is up online. Thanks again. See you soon.
Yeah, and this knife is about 30 years old or maybe even older, and the compass, it still points north. Can't complain about that.